My name is Sandra Lapointe, and I'm a professor of philosophy at McMaster University. I'm also the project director of The Collaborative, ou en français, La Collaborative. This is a SSHRC-funded initiative which, over the last 3 years, has dedicated a portion of its research effort to creating new pathways and new outlets for knowledge mobilization in the social science and humanities, and I'm here to report. Everyone agrees that social science and humanities are instrumental when it comes to fostering societies in which democracy is strong and where scientific innovation is put to the best use. But when we're asked to explain how social science and humanities shape our social institutions, it's difficult not to draw a blank or just merely to find examples as clear as those that we find in the STEMs. STEM research output is understood to be knowledge that we can translate into new technologies that increase our capacity to transform the material world around us. Just think of cell phones or COVID-19 vaccines. We don't think of social science and humanities as creating technologies in the same way. We think of them as contributing to the development of technologies because it takes an entire ecosystem to be able to create innovation. But we don't think of them as creating their own technologies. And I think that this is part of the problem. Technologies are tools we use to achieve things in the world. And there are physical technologies that allow us to achieve material things. But there are also technologies that we develop to change our institutions and social reality. We call those cultural technologies. And let me give you an example. In his bestseller, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, Daniel Kahneman says something quite insightful about the way in which economists create such cultural technologies. He says that economists invent concepts like the concept of risk to help us cope with the world in ways that are more efficient. A concept like the concept of risk allows us to develop better strategies when it comes to dealing with probabilities. The concept of risk increases our numeracy, and it allows us to avoid unconscious biases that lead to a number of fallacies, such as, for instance, the gambler's fallacy. And there are many such concepts. As part of research, social science and humanities scholars engineer conceptual resources that go on to permeate all sectors of human activity. And here's a list. It's not complete. Necessary and sufficient conditions, networks, moral dilemma, deterrence theory, peer pressure, household income, gentrification, cognitive bias, systemic racism, ethnocentrism, the distinction between equality and equity, inquiry-based learning, social capital. So SSH create cultural technologies. They create conceptual resources, which when they are adopted by those who lead social institutions, transform them to lead to social progress. But the same cultural technologies can be used by people to transform their individual existence, which also has consequences on the level of support for social progress. So perhaps the question ought to be, what's the best way to mobilize social science and humanities knowledge to create these impacts? One answer is that engagement is a necessary ingredient of impact. Engagement is an expedient for the relevance of social science and humanities research. You need to engage at the outset to understand what's relevant to stakeholders. And that's why new models of research are emerging where partnership with community stakeholders and with industry play a big role. But beyond research partnerships, social science and humanities researchers and scholars need to engage downstream because conceptual resources are the hardest kinds of technologies to deploy and implement. So what does social science and humanities engagement look like that goes on to shape social institutions? Well, you can think of consultations and other kinds of partnerships with community stakeholders. But what does social science and humanities engagement look like that shapes citizenship because this is part of our role. Of course, the immediate answer is teaching, but social science and humanities experts have a role to play much beyond the university classroom when it comes to helping build the competencies needed to create social innovation and to navigate the challenges of social cooperation and citizenship. And at McMaster, we have developed a new model for knowledge mobilization, and we created a new platform that makes it possible for social scientists and for humanists to bring their expertise where it's most needed and to create long-term social impact. And here's how it works.
Meet Tom. Tom is a high school economics teacher, and a pretty good one, too. He would like to lead his students through an inquiry about the impacts of social problems on economics. But his students have a lot of questions, and Tom doesn't have all the answers. If only there was a resource for teachers like Tom that could provide access to academic experts in the field like a human textbook, integrate deep inquiry-based learning, introduce and highlight areas of study unknown to students. Now, meet Pauline, a professor of philosophy. Pauline has published studies about social issues related to economics. She's interested in community engagement and loves to talk about her discipline. She's the perfect resource to solve Tom's problem. But they don't know each other. Imagine if we could bring Tom and Pauline together in a way that was easy to do, required little time and effort, and included rewards. Welcome to The Collaborative. The Collaborative is a community that leverages the creation of person-to-person connections between educators teaching in elementary and secondary school and those working in post-secondary education to involve them in co-creation activities that consider educators' limited time and resources. Here's how it works. Teachers contact the Collaborative with their problem through an online portal. Then, a broker reviews a bank of academics interested in community engagement. The broker finds the best fit and connects the academic with the teacher. Educators like Tom and Pauline get introduced and can now work together to deliver meaningful learning experiences for students. The Collaborative is designed to streamline this process. It just takes one click to get started. Brokers support you and help you connect. Academics sharing their expertise need hardly any prep. The in-class session is short and meets everyone's needs. There are many benefits of this collaboration. Professor Pauline gets to inspire young students to explore a career in her discipline. She also fulfills the university's community engagement mandate. Teacher Tom provides meaningful learning experiences, and his students' inquiries are supported by real-world experts.
This was actually a fairly seamless project for me in terms of I reached out, I had this idea, wasn't sure how to make it work, and they were able to then connect, partner with me, ask me some questions about what I was looking for, and then sent today the experts so they could work with my students on developing their questions stronger and then their thinking and how they're going to go forward towards the final project.
It makes it a lot more engaging and a lot more fun too, to be able to kind of have like these low-risk conversations.
Because it's less about, oh, there are these very, very intelligent people at the front of the class that you can't really interact with. Now there are very, very intelligent people at the front of the class that you can interact with and are there to help you fundamentally succeed.
One of the things I hope to get out of this experience was to open their eyes to what we do at the university level and to get them excited about learning and asking questions and hopefully encourage them to come to university.
Welcome to The Collaborative. We help teachers, students, and academics highlight knowledge and skills in the humanities and social sciences. If you're ready to make an impact, visit the Collaborative's website.